How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Being Big, and we are back with another video. Today is solo discussion because I just finished Xenosaga episode 1 for the first time, and I have a lot of thoughts, and I was like, that's free content, so here we are now. You're jumping right into it. Maybe just a little background. I got into Xenosaga for the first time. It was like, I bought the game on PS2 like 5 years ago. No, maybe even longer than that. It was a long time ago for like $10 at a local store. Since then I played a little bit of it, but I didn't really get very far. I want to say I got like 10 hours into it. And now obviously I'm a huge Xenoblade fan. But back then I didn't know. It's funny, I didn't know this series was connected to Xenoblade. And I also got Gears separately as well, not realizing that these were all connected, which is funny now. But now I got back into it. I wanted to play through all three of them because I own all three of them now. So I was like, I have to. So I started with one, and here we are. Here with my thoughts. I'm just going to go down what I think. I'm not going to go too much into there's going to be hella spoilers in this video, but I'm not going to talk about the story too much because I don't have a lot to say about the story in general that isn't just the characters. But first I want to talk about the gameplay. I really enjoy the gameplay in this game. It's pretty good, I think. It took me a long time to get used to how it plays. I want to say I didn't really understand how to play the game until I got my ass beat by the first boss you fight is Ziggy, because you have to fight that boss by yourself, and I didn't understand the rotation. So there's like a learning curve, and I can't say I was enjoying the gameplay all too much at the beginning, but once it got around to the end game and learning how to use my SP, all my skills, all the tech attack, double tech attacks with that one item that you get, I ended up really enjoying the gameplay overall, and I thought it was pretty fun. Yeah, to go into that, on my little checklist here, music, I don't really got a lot to say. I wish there was more of it, because what of it there was, it was good, but a lot of the game is silent, and I understand that it adds to the atmosphere of being sort of in space, I guess, or you're in a lot of military locations like the Wonglide and I don't know if I said it, in the Elsa, and so I get why there's no music for the most part in areas like that. But I just wish there was more of it. And then what is up with the battle theme, bro? Fuck, bro. The whole game was that single battle theme. I was so ready for other battle themes to show up, and then they never did. I'm pretty sure the only boss that got its own unique battle theme was the final boss, and at least the penultimate final boss should have gotten his own music. Speaking of the final boss, let me just say this right now. The final boss was alright. The reason I think the penultimate final boss should have gotten a villain's battle theme is because he's a way more important. He is more of the main antagonist of this game than the final boss is. And it's funny because sometimes I like to look up forums and stuff for going into a final boss to make sure that I'm at least at the right level. And every guide I read, everything I said, and I didn't use the guide the whole game until right at the end, into the final dungeon, so I could just blow through the final dungeon because I was kind of done with the game. So I couldn't use the strategies in the guide, and I had to use my own strategies, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed that, and on a replay of the game, knowing the gameplay from start to finish, I think I'll enjoy the combat a lot more, knowing how to use it. And whichever, I beat the penultimate final boss first try, and then every guide I read was like, oh, the final boss should be Freelo if you beat the penultimate boss. And of course, at 1 a.m. in the morning, I'm on the final boss, and he sends out those two motherfuckers that lower your Easter defense or whatever. And then the man uses his party wipe technique, the one that does 700 damage while blocking. I just got wiped, and I was not ready. Oh, that's besides the point. I wish the battle music was different. That was my only complaint. Anyways, going into story now. Story and characters. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about the story too much because it's a trilogy and they set up a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that I just don't know about. But going through the characters, we're just going through my favorite of the main group. And then we'll talk about miscellaneous characters afterwards. So, at my number 1 spot is Ziggy. And I don't know, is that a hot take? I don't know if that's a hot take. Yeah, I think it might be a hot take. I just really like him. I don't know. I thought he was cool from the beginning. He's sort of I don't know, it's a little cliche, the sort of cyborg guy, and he's distant. I wasn't really a big fan of the council scenes in the beginning of the game, but him coming in and being I want you to remove all my humanity, it added an interesting little thing because you can tell he's been through a lot. And I think I really started to like him once he met Momo because he's just such a nice guy. And I'm curious to see if he's going to go through with the operation to remove his humanity, to get rid of all of his memories, based on his interactions with Momo and Junior in this game. And I think that's the reason I like him so much. While he he isn't the most relevant character. There is still like he still had his moment with Junior in sort of being the straight man, being the cold, the experienced one, and telling Junior how it is, and sort of being the bad guy in that situation. But he cares, so I really enjoy that about him. So I'm curious to see if I hope he doesn't remove his personality module or whatever in the second game. But yeah, that's why Ziggy number 1. Number 2. Junior Gaiden Rubido. Oh my goodness, bro! From the moment you play as him, right at in the midsection of the game, when you're invading the UTech vessel or whatever, come on, bro! You can't give a man double pistols. He's a badass, but also his history is there. Also, his relationship with Momo, his relationship with Albedo, which we'll get to Albedo, in a little bit. How there's more to him than he seems. Even early on, they say he's older than Gaiden, but he still acts like a child a lot of the time, even though he's older than a lot of the characters in the cast. And I really enjoy him. Up next is Shion, the main character. Yeah, oh my goodness. I wasn't sure how I felt about her at the beginning of the game. Like very, very early on in the game, they allude to the event that happened 2 years ago. And you can tell that sort of affected her and made her more distant because of the person she lost during those events. Because of that, she tries to hold Cosmos back. So it's an interesting sort of relationship. But I don't think I really started to enjoy Shion until the midpoint of the game with this scene with the motherfucking insane motherfucker who killed his wife and daughter. I mean, like, yeah, he was an op, and I hated him, but that scene he shared with Shion made me enjoy that part of the game immensely. Like, it made me, like, not so much respect him, maybe respect him in a way a little bit, but, like, understand how he got to the point. And just that scene was like, okay, now this game is like, whoa. And that moment they shared together was just amazing in my opinion. And then of course once you get to First Milsha, or the memory of First Milsha, like I knew we were leading up to getting the full information on what happened 2 years ago, but I was not expecting them to actually like fully show you what happens, and to have like that scene where Cosmos like just busts a hole in his chest, and then you find out that Shion had to put her down, that weight she carries, like, and how it manifests in her fear of thunder as well, and just her moments with Cosmos overall. And we'll get to how I feel about Cosmos in a little bit, but just the way she grows, even what's in this game, and that I really, really, really love that scene at the end before Cosmos pulled a Gundam original, where she thought she lost her and then she grabbed her and she pulled her in. It was a really beautiful scene, and I really enjoyed that scene a lot. Up next, I have Momo. I talked about her a good amount, but she's sort of the glue that holds why I really like Ziggy and Junior together, and I really like the innocence she brings, but also like the way she has to face reality while trying to stay positive. Everybody constantly is telling her dad is an op, he's a insane maniac who did all this bad stuff, but she knows a side of him that they don't, and she's clinging to hope that was who he was. And obviously, I mean, we still don't know who he was. We only got the perspective from Momo and the other characters, but I think that really humanizes him, because a lot of the characters dehumanize him. But he was a person, he was complex, so I enjoy what Momo brought to that. And then just what she goes through, especially at the end of the game. I'm going to talk about that scene in a little bit. You know what scene I'm talking about if you played this game. Personally, if that was me, I might have just had a heart attack in that room, bro. Because what am I doing? Ain't no way. Up next, we got Cosmos. I don't got much to say about Cosmos. She's cool. I like her attacks. The X attack you get at the end of the game is really cool too, even though the animation takes forever. But I kind of sort of see where she's going, classic robot. Semi-gaining emotions, semi-gaining... not necessarily free will, because I feel like she's sort of already, like, not has free will, but she already makes her own actions based on her programming. Like, it's getting there, right? And that, again, with that scene with her and Momo at the end in the airway, Shion, where Shion saves her. And then, her Gundaming on top of the ship to protect everybody. And I knew she was not going to die from that, by the way. I was like, ain't no shot, bros. Doesn't this next game take place right after this one? I'm excited to see I'm more excited to see where she goes, and I guess that's why she's this low on the list in terms of main characters. Up next, sort of an honorary mention. I'm not a main character. He is a main character, but he's not a party member. Alan, I high-key thought also he was going to be annoying, like the simp character. And he kind of is. But it's not that bad. The reason I like Alan so much is because he does genuinely care about Shion. Aside from the fact that he wants to be with her. He understands she went through something traumatic. He also, knew her back then. Maybe the reason I liked him so much is because Shion needs to cut him a break, man. Because he's trying his hardest out here. And he's genuinely worrying about her feelings. But come on, Shion drove at least a little bone. But he respects her and he gives her space. And when he gets shot down, he knows she doesn't mean it. And at the bottom... I got Chaos, man. I don't know what to tell you other than he doesn't do that much. And he was cool at the beginning, but who is he, man? Who is, like, dead ass, who is he? He knew whoever that blonde handsome motherfucker was, the guy in the beak mask. He referred to him as, I don't know what he referred to him as, but they knew each other, and he's keeping something from the character. He knows more than he lets on. Something about UTech or Vector or just whatever they're trying to achieve with Udo. So I don't trust him. I think that's the bottom line, and that's why he's at the bottom of my main character list. But yeah, I mean, that's really how I feel about all the characters. Going into some of the side characters that are really cool, Albedo is at the top. That scene with him is so demon, but beautifully done. What demonic motherfucker over at Monolith was like, yeah, the hoes gonna love this. The hoes gonna love this. Cause come on, brother, that was insane. And what guy in the localization team was like, oh, we can't have him have a knife, bro. But the scene gonna be somehow even more demonic without the knife, man. I don't know, man. Weirdest censorship of all time. The Elsa crewmates are cool. None of them really stand out to me except for the pilot and the captain. Pilot being an absolute Chad and the captain just being sort of that grumpy old guy. But I enjoy his dynamic. I enjoy what they add to the little scenes. The leader of Vector surprised me because I didn't expect him to be like a... Is twink the right word? Am I allowed to call him that? Just like I don't know, just how he turned out. I expected him to be more like, I guess more like the other leader, like Guinan. And is it Second Miltia? The leader of Second Miltia, I'm pretty sure. Then the main villain, who Albedo is the main villain of the game, but the main villain of the UTEG organization, I cannot remember his name right now, but I beat his ass as Ziggy after like 40 minutes of using revives, and it was not worth it. But other than that fight scene right at the beginning of the game, I mean, like, I got nothing from him. He's the mastermind of the UTEG organization, but I don't know what their goals are, and I don't know where they're going, which is why I don't want to get into the story too much. But yeah, I mean, that's all my thoughts, really. Like I said, I can't say I was really feeling the end of the game. Like, the story really started gripping me once we got to the, inside the... Oh, what are they called? Oh my god. The Gnosis! When you're inside of the big Gnosis... That's where the story, in my opinion, I was really hooked. Not to say that the story before that was bad. There was a lot of cool stuff that happened before that. That was where I was really hooked. I liked the areas designs, and I liked how you could sneak around enemies. But most of the time, I ended up fighting all of them anyways for the extra SP, TP, whatever I needed. The game progressed pretty nicely. There wasn't a point where I felt like super underleveled. So overall, I think I don't know if I want to give it a rating, but I'm going to give it a rating. So I'm going to give it like a 7 out of 10. I think on replay, it could be an 8. Just based on knowing now how I want, what characters I kind of want to build. Oh, I didn't use the eggs at all. I didn't even bring that up. I didn't use the eggs the whole game at all. Only in like very, very specific circumstances. I didn't feel like I was missing out. I'm sure I was. I mean, that's a whole option of the game that I just didn't use. I'm glad that I didn't feel like the game was ultra difficult because I did that. Like, wasn't playing on hard mode. It was just like another option that I had available to me that I didn't utilize as I could. I mean, I wasn't like getting punished for it, which is nice. But I did feel like some of the skills were pretty fucking useless. There's too many skills and not enough T-points to know which ones are good on your first playthrough without using a guide or something. So there was a lot of times where I was like, okay, well, this skill sort of just fell off. Meanwhile, all these other skills, like our blade, Cosmos has for the whole game since the beginning, and it's arguably her best fucking slashing technique, like her best just physical technique. I mean, I used all her skills. I used our drill, I used our hammer, but at the end of the day, I felt like I could have used our blade the whole game. Yeah, that's a couple negatives I got. But like I said, it could possibly be an 8 on replays, and I think the story and the characters really carry it more than the gameplay. But I'm excited to see where the series goes. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Tell me what your thoughts are on Xenosaga in the comments below. I'm really curious to see. But I will see you all in the next one.